And Heyman, Ross, Paul, Lucky, Anita, Igor, Tim, Tanya, Dean, and we have Pesta. And I'll just say a word first and cut. So welcome everyone who is online with us, and welcome you guys here. Because this is as close as we would normally get to Bob's birthday if he was still embodied. He would be 97 tomorrow. So I thought we should really make it a little bit more special and have him speak. So I just downloaded some of the unpublished bits and pieces from another channels on YouTube from about 18 years ago, 17 years ago. So he'll be looking a little bit more puffy, a little bit younger, but not as healthy as he was looking 10 years ago. You'll see. And he'll speak a bit faster than in the last years. I hope we're gonna love it. We're gonna enjoy it. And then in Sofia, we're gonna have a birthday cake for Tibor and for Bob. I put some apples, ordered some apples, maybe ice cream. Okay, so we ready to roll? Just get it on. And there's someone at the door still. Okay, I'll just get it. Mm-hmm. Yay! Yeah, you're gonna grab the chairs here, or you can grab the big chair. Hey. Oh, this one's free. Yeah, I'll consider one of the chairs. Yeah, so welcome guys, and I was just saying that, you know, if Bob was still in the body, embodied, he would be 97 tomorrow. So we're gonna look at him and listen to him today. And here it is. Dina, where are you? Come on. So
ask yourself these questions and have a look. Am I this body? Am I this mind? Am I a separate entity? Am I a person? Am I an individual? And if you've grasped what they basically say, first and foremost, that non-duality is one without a second, just this, nothing else, and self-shining, ever-fresh presence awareness, just this, nothing else also. And one without a second implies there couldn't even be one. Because they could say one without a second, because even the idea of one implies there could be other than one. So in that implication, you must realise again that I can't be this body, I can't be this mind, I can't be a separate entity at all. Pointing that out, there's one without a second, is telling you clearly that there can be absolutely no duality in non-duality. And yet there is so much duality appearing all around you. The whole manifestation is duality. And it couldn't be otherwise. There couldn't be any appearance, any pattern, any shape, any form without duality. And that's why they call it appearance. They call it appearance. They call it an illusion or appearance, or different words for it. Pointing out that as it appears, it is not real. It is real in essence. But it is that one essence that's appearing and patterning and shaping and forming as everything. Now what are you if you're not the body? Which if you look into it closely, you can't find a spot in this anywhere that you say, this is where I begin, this is what I am. You see the body's made up of nothing but the elements, but nothing but energy. And I'm not the mind, there's no such thing as mind apart from thought. What must I be? Can you negate this, what we call, for want of a better term, this life essence? Or the knowing that you are? Or the life current that's patterning and suppressing and expressing through this body, replacing cells, doing the breathing, doing everything quite naturally and effortlessly, just like the same as functioning outside there in the universe, quite effortlessly and naturally. And we've taken on this concept somewhere along the line about spirituality and God, a supreme being. But is there anyone out there in nature sitting there somewhere that's going to pull the strings and say, I'll make it rain here, no, I'll keep it dry over there? Or if you pray to him, he's going to fix this for you or fix that for you. Is there any of that in nature? Any centre or reference point or point at all in nature that's running the show? Or isn't it suffusing, isn't that energy what we call, for want of a better term, that intelligence energy, the way it patterns and forms, implies that it's suffused or full of intelligence? Isn't it that intelligence energy that's breathing you right now? It's not only out there in the universe and you're something separate from it. You are that natural state also. And isn't it breathing you right now? Isn't it beating your heart, replacing cells in your body, growing your hair in your fingernail? What do you have to do to recognise that? Don't you recognise it right now? Can you negate that beingness? Can you negate that life essence, the knowing that you are? You realise you can't negate, you can't say, I am not. What you are, you don't know. And we take what we appear to be, we take that as reality without question and without investigation. And that's all our problems ever been.
So really, Bob, there's never anything wrong.
No, nothing right either. But that's how Nisargadatta put it. He says, I could only put it negatively, he said. There's nothing wrong anymore. And life is just going the way it is. Didn't say, there's some great mind-blowing explosion. It's this, it's that, it just goes on. Ordinary, everyday living, there's nothing wrong. It's okay, as it is.
Yeah, I think what's been mentioned here a few times is the ordinariness of the knowing. It's not some great state or whatever. It's very plain, I guess.
It's ordinary every day because it's the same as you had a mind-blowing explosion now. And it stayed there. After a week, 10 days, what would it be? It'll be the norm.
Yeah.
Very, very ordinary. So you've had this all your life. That's why it seems so ordinary. Been there constantly all your life. And so we hardly noticed it. But other way, you had that big explosion. When it became the norm, what would you be doing? You're looking for a bigger and better one. That's not enough now.
So where does that thought or come from, that it is something extraordinary and something to be attained or moved towards?
Well, where does it come from? I don't know where it came from in the first place, but have a look at all the texts and scriptures and all the rest of it. In the Bible, in all the Buddhist texts and all the rest of it, and all the exaltedly so-called beings are something special, something higher up, some different state that we've got. So we naturally look for that, without question. Not realising we are very ordinary, everyday people themselves. But they just weren't caught up in the mind or the concepts like other people are. They've seen through it. So have a look at this, see for yourself. That's all any of them ever say, really. But then we start talking about it and arguing about it. Instead of the non-duality, we split up into 3 gurus, the 5 tattvas, the 33,001 things, and 108 this and that and the other. It goes on forever and ever. That's the way the mind works. Constantly dividing. Yours is constantly dividing. So you never find the answer there. And each and all those great traditions are put to the same thing. There's only that. Just one without a second. The Buddha say non-conceptual ever fresh presence awareness. Just this, nothing else. The Jews say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God. There is no one or nothing other. You know. Well, the Muslims say, there is no God but God. Allah is his name. No God but God. That's all there is. If you like to call it God. So they put a different name on it, call it Allah or something. That's all we do. We put labels on it and take the word, the label, to be real. But that's another thing to look at. The word can never be the thing. You can say water forever. And the word will never quench your thirst. The word fire won't burn your mouth. So whatever label or word we put on it, that's not it. You can't sit in the word chair. It's a label.
It sounds so simple.
Nothing simpler than one. So believed in self-centered, that's the cause of the problem. And we say, have a look at that and see that what we believe in there, the self-centered, is a fiction. There is no entity there with any substance or any independent nature. Though the energy of belief going into it made it seem substantial, solid, and very real. And that's where the concepts or images or senses of fear, the anger, the self-pity, the resentment, all these things appeared. Because of that belief. Because they're always related to that conceptual reference point we've come to believe in. And that is the cause of all the seeming problem. Because there's a seeming point that we can relate to. So that certainly needs to be investigated. And see, this thing that I call I or me, and the mental image, the concepts I added to it, and formed this mental picture, when investigated, you realise that the mental picture, the image, the thought can't see, it can't hear, it can't be aware. This thing that we've, energy of belief is seemingly given power to, has ruined or made the seeming life pattern seem very hard, hasn't got any power at all. It's a fiction. That's what the seeming bondage has been. Bondage to a fiction. So to be free of the bondage, it needs to be looked at and seen clearly. And if any doubts come up about it, look at it again, and again, and again. Twist, turn, and look at it from all directions, all points, and see if you can find anything with any substance there. And doing that, not finding anything, wouldn't the conviction arise that I am that, like they say, I've always been that, ever been that. And could you really take on the erroneous belief anymore and believe in it? Who can you find anything that needs to be destroyed? What is the self-centered? Isn't it me or I? What is me or I? Isn't it a thought, a word we've acquired or learned? But it's not just to be a thought. We've added to that I thought to make it seemingly substantial and solid. Other thoughts like, I'm Bob, I'm Australian, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. I've had these bad events happen to me, recalled from memory and added onto that I thought. And we've got a mental picture. We've built a mental picture or image of what we believe ourselves to be. All conceptual and all a dead image we must have, because it's always based on past events and experiences. And everything becomes relative to that image. It's always related to that. That's the reference point. We relate it to a mental image. I don't like this, how do I know? Well, I've had that experience before, and it wasn't liked. It was a bad experience. So I like this because it's good, you know. Constantly related to a dead image. So problems are problems of relationship, relative to. And relationship is always me and the other. It's dualism. Any relationship is dualism. So while we're looking in that direction, we never get to non-duality. So can you destroy, when you look at it closely, something that doesn't exist? Can you sublimate it or subdue it? And who or what would try and do it in the recognition that it doesn't exist? You create yourself another image that's going to get rid of the old image. So it goes on. It's got nothing to relate to. What's happened to the pseudo-subject? Subject and object is always dualism. And I see, I believe it's that me that's seeing, that conceptual image. I've created a subject, a seer, that is seeing this or that, That's the seeing is that I'm seeing are concepts also. A chair, a table, you, they, or something else. We've added labels to that image or pattern that you are. But the pattern is pure energy. But we put a label or a word on it, and that's the seeming object. So we've got dualism, subject-object. But what's taking place in? Well, it's taking place in the seeing. Is seeing dualistic? Is hearing dualistic? Tasting, touching, smelling, are they dualistic? Only when they're seemingly divided into a seer, a taster, a toucher, a smeller, subject and object, they're divided by concepts, they're seemingly dualistically. But they can't be a seer, a subject, that's not seeing. There's no seeing there. You can't say there's a seer here without seeing. And there can't be the seeing, the object, without the seeing. Can there be anything seen if there's no seeing? Can there be a seer without seeing? And look along those lines, the hearing thing, and you recognise that the two ends of the one stick really. Two concepts we put on the one seeing, the one hearing, the one tasting, and seemingly divided conceptually, and suffer accordingly because of that division. It's not necessary. And people, when they hear nothing, they think it's a vacuum or a void. Zilch. But they say no thing. When you split up into no thing, all appearance is things. But the thing has no substance or independent nature itself. And when it's no thing ever happens. Just that one essence is vibrating, seemingly patterning into it. So you use a metaphor of a mirror. You've got that mirror there. And look, you see all sorts of reflections in the mirror, don't you? Now, can you go up that mirror and grasp a reflection? All you'll do when you get up there, you can't say those reflections are not there. But you go up and try and grab one. You can't say they are there. They appear to be there, but they've got no substance or independent matter. All you grasp is the mirror. Now, have you ever seen the mirror?
The mirror itself?
Yeah.
Have we ever seen the mirror?
You
may have only ever seen the mirror.
Yeah, but I mean, so can you see the mirror? Go looking for the mirror.
No.
All you can see, that mirror there, is totally full of reflections. And every mirror you ever look into will be totally full of reflections. But you go and you've investigated and know it's a reflecting surface. There couldn't be anything appeared in it that appears in without that reflecting surface, could there? So they're not separate or apart from that reflecting surface. So, but you know, you've investigated and know that there's all reflecting in what we call the mirror, even though you never see the mirror. And you're not taken in by it anymore. You're seeing through it, you know the truth of it. So when you recognise it, not recognising that essence that you are that pure awareness, that there's nothing other than that, then you get back what Tom's trying to put across, that there's, you know, there's only that essence, one essence, which everything appears and disappears. Why pretend to be what you're not? And why do you refuse to be what you are? Everybody wants to be this human form that's running the show. So we pretend we are. Believe it and pretend it without question. But what you actually are is no thing. And everybody refuses to be no thing. The concept or idea of no thing, they don't see that no thing is not a vacuum or a void, it's a very life essence that's functioning and patterning everything. Nobody wants to be that. They've got the idea of no thing as a vacuum, a void, and emptiness. And so they want to stay with this believed entity that we think we are, that's got some power that thinks it's running the show. Keep wearing the mask, the persona, playing the role. Emptiness is form. So what he's saying is that this emptiness, this no thingness, the space-like awareness, is patterning, shaping and forming all this manifestation. And it's all patterns of that intelligence energy. And then he went the other way and he said, form can be nothing other than emptiness. Again pointing back to the one essence. There's a form, no matter how it's patterning, shaping or forming, it is still only that emptiness. And that's our problem. We've taken the appearance to be real and ignored our true nature. That's why I look at a lot of the texts I call it ignorance. Not that we're dull or stupid, it means exactly that. That we are ignoring our true nature and focusing, believing in the appearance, in the patterns, shapes and forms. And there's no, we say no separation, you see separation all around you. But ask yourself, is there really any separation at all? You believe you are that body, mind. Well, as I say, I'm pointing to have a look and see whether you are that body or that mind, what you believe yourself to be. Can you find a point in that body anywhere that you say, this is where I begin, this is where I started, and where did you begin? You'll say, I began at birth. But how many of you in this room remember your birth? You only go back so far into memory to a point when you say beyond that point I don't remember. And that you can't go back prior to about 2.5 or something like that. Beyond that point you don't remember. So you don't actually remember your birth. Now you can't say you're this body if you look into it closely. What's this body made up of? And you'll see this body's made up of elements. It's made up of earth, air, fire, water, and space, just like the elements around you. Well, if you're separate, separate yourself from the air. See how long you'd last. Take the water out of your body. Take away the air, get out of the air, get out of the space. Take the body temperature, the fire, the heat out. You see, you're not separate from any of those elements at all. You wouldn't last 5 minutes if you were. So though we believe we're separate, we without questioning haven't looked into it. And what are these elements made up of? You see, these elements are made up of subatomic particles, whatever, right down to clocks. They can break it right down into pure energy. So this body, like the rest of the manifestation, is only a pattern of energy that's patterning into that form, different forms, different shapes. Well, as I call it, intelligence energy, the activity of knowing. I'm talking about your intellect when I'm talking about that intelligence. That knowing that's going on that can't be negated there or here is an activity because it's happening. That's what's happening in the immediacy of this moment. And that's just a movement of energy, a vibration of energy. Now, does that vibration have any beginning? When you talk about now, was it, can you say it's starting? Pinpoint the start of that movement? Can you pinpoint the end of it? It's just like a throb or a pulsation, isn't it? Just As its beginning, its ending. As it's ending, its beginning. And because of that natural activity, this seeming world pattern, shapes and forms, including you, me and everything else, we're no different from that. So by the same token, you have no beginning. You have no ending. You have no birth, no death. No destiny, no free will. Birthless, deathless, timeless, spaceless, bodiless, mindless. Make something out of that. Investigate the entity and see there's nothing there now. When was it ever real? If you see the falseness of it now, you realise, where was it when the sperm and the ovum came together? You say, well, me's here now, I've got to grow a little arm or a few fingers today. That natural function, the innate intelligence suffusing those cells, had all the embryo and everything within it, and I knew what to do naturally and effortlessly. And even when you're born, if a little baby's got no idea of me, and no idea he's separate at all. That idea or concept of me doesn't come upon him until the capacity of reasoning develops about 2.5. Little child learns words. As soon as he learns words like me, what's up to me? Because the mind, being a vibration, always vibrates in interrelated opposites. Not the past, it's in the future. And otherwise, interrelated as present, painful, happy, sad, loving, hating. And what happens when the idea of me comes upon him? He looks out there before the little child, watch him and seeing everything as it is. He's not seeing one homogenous bomb out there. And he reasons that doesn't fit this description of little Johnny or me they're talking about. So it's not me. And that's when the sense of separation first comes upon us. And with that sense of separation comes insecurity and vulnerability. And that's when our search starts. We're seeking to become secure, whole and complete because we've taken on the erroneous belief that we are separate entities, individuals, persons. But we never ever were. That's why you go back and have a look and investigate and see. There's no me there now. You investigate, you can't find it. When was it ever there? And you realise it could never have been there. So when did you choose or have any control as a separate entity? At what time? Wherever or when? You realise you've been lived all the way through, even into this erroneous belief that you are a separate entity. Seeing through it, you can no longer believe it again. And if you no longer believe it, it loses its intensity. Something that can't be believed in, it's lost its power, it's lost its hold of you. And keep, if it comes up out of habit and catches you again, recognise again that there is nothing there with any substance or any independent nature. And the more often it's seen, the less hold it has on you, till you can't come function from that point anymore. We say here you'll never get the answer in the mind, even if it's just for the night. You don't try and grasp it with the mind, because when it's in the mind, you're hearing it in the mind, it's head, what we call head to head. You're not getting anywhere because you've got your concept about yourself and about anybody else. But we call it heart to heart. We're not talking about a physical heart or any place in your body. We're talking about the core of your being or the symbol of the spirit. When there's an opening there and heart to heart, that's when it's likely to resonate. And you might forget about it 2 minutes afterwards in the actual words, but remember, if it's resonated, it'll come out of you at some time or other in your words, your ideas, the recognition of it will regain. And from then on, it's not something you've heard or read, it is yours. And don't forget to let it be so. And that will bring about all by itself all that's necessary to happen. And I tell it, omnipresence, total presence, is no such thing as time, really. You have a look at that, you know. And ask yourself, is there a past if I don't think about it? To do that, you've got to pause the thought for a moment. What can you say without a thought? Can you say there's a past or a future? No, but you haven't disappeared without the thought, you haven't fallen apart, there's a negative in. But you say, then people say, well, I was in the past. I'll say, try and live a moment ago. And you realise you can't live a moment. You can recall it. And what you're recalling, the only actuality you're giving it, is what you're giving it right now in this moment. You're not giving it, you're not recalling it. You can't tell me what you thought of 2 minutes ago even, without recalling it. It's gone. Same with the future. You can anticipate and imagine the future, but you can't live in the future. So people try to stay in the now, don't realise you can't get out of it. You could never ever get away from it. And you see that mind itself is time. Mind, the vibration thought, is time. But when does now begin? You can't pinpoint a point where you can say it begin. When does it end? You can't pin a point. So it's always beginning, always ending, and actually never moving. And all our problems come about because of that belief in time. And to me, the so-called self-centered, that's a conceptual time-bound image. I was born, so we're relating to that concept there, relating to an invalid reference point. Not true. No wonder we get into trouble. I use the term, I think it's in Christianity, in a lot of other traditions, they call it omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience. Three aspects of the one thing. Total presence, total power, total intelligence. If it's total, does that leave room for two?
Yeah.
If it's the absolute, is there anything that's not absolute? But you see, the trouble is they divide it into awareness, conscious, absolute, seemingly split it up and make it appear to be three different things. But they're labels we put on the one, the non-dual one without a second, seemingly dividing it. But the label can't divide anything. As they say, if it's one, there's nothing simpler than one, but it's not even one. Because they put without a second on that one, implying there never was a one in the first place, which two could come from. Yes, you are the life. That is what you actually are, not any entity. There is only, as the Sagada says, there is only life. That is all there is. There is nobody who ever lived a life or ever will live a life. And life continually living on itself. If it's only life, what can it live on? Life is always living and expressing as life, from life, into life. But there's no from or into even. That's how it's seemingly happens.
Yeah.
No, that's why we say you'll never find the answer in the mind. Because the mind, the way the mind, so-called mind functions, it divides, constantly vibrates in the opposites, it's always dividing, seemingly separating it by concepts, ideas, images. And look in all the great traditions, you'll see there is no mind. Called an empty mind, no mind, and unborn mind. So, if the mind's no thing, what can there be? Something come out of nothing? Can any of these thoughts, feelings we think to believe to be things, they're really only that no mind also. Even though it's displaying that seeming of it.
Healthcare huge.
You can't help but love you. Walk, some of us have walked together for a long time. So that's just a few steps. There's walks being walked, steps being made. And thank God the Saviour has walked the walk with me. Love you all.
Love you all.
And you can just grab it. Gonna come, Tanya? Oh. Wasn't it beautiful? Yeah. It's just immortal and forever. And I think we had actually a couple of comments. Sorry, I just left the phone here. So Catherine was saying love and gratitude, and Julia says, aren't we blessed? And Annika, beautiful Bob, ordinary awareness, how simple yet can be so difficult to grasp. The conditioned mind always wanting some more blissful experience instead of acknowledging that there is nothing wrong with right now, as ordinary as it may seem. What a wonderful summary. And I answered to Julia, how can you not love him with all of your heart and forever? And Catherine says, love is all that is, and you are that love forever. So true. And Tanya says, this is absolutely beautiful. Kat, thank you so much for sharing this clarity. So good to see Bob's form and the way he pointed to that which you really are. And Julia say, it's the heart-to-heart pointer that so many seem overlook. His heart was the most beautiful expression of life that this expression has ever encountered. I'll second to that. And Peter says yes to that too. Yes, so that's it for the online contributions, and this is where we open the discussions. This is where we invite everyone to share. You know, how did it sit with you? What actually shifted? What was the most prominent? Which one of those, you know, the bundle we had over half an hour of a beautiful, simple pointings just landed, or just touched your heart, or just was heard in a new way? No?
All of it so precise, truthful, without adornment, just as it is. No vested interest or attempt to persuade, just an expression of actual experience and an invitation to do the same, to just look, always investigate. It's just, gosh, it's fantastic, hey? Amazing. Thank you for putting that together.
Oh,
yeah, just beautiful compilation. Yeah. That's it. Nothing else to say. Just love it all as it is right now. Nowhere else to go. You're still. It's a stillness. It's just there's nothing else. It's just that. Wow.
Yeah, anyone would like to just highlight, even repeat word to word, something that was being said? Do you want to say something?
It came to my observation that Bob is a most precise human being that I've ever seen. He knows what he's saying, or at least he knows how he's saying what he's saying perfectly, professionally, and he just keep doing it fast, careless of any mistake. There is no mistake. Apologize for being not precise. Thanks for opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. It was very precise. It was good to hear. Yes, you notice how, like that 15, 20 years ago, he was like a machine gun. The expression, because there was so much of the vitality and the life force. And as Tanya was saying, because he wasn't repeating the learned lesson or reciting anything from the memory, he was just grounded in his own direct experience of this moment and describing the content of that experience, describing the fact that the seeing is happening, but there is no person doing it, and offering that you actually notice at the same time that, yeah, he's describing my experience too. Because the seeing is happening equally, and the seeing is non-dualistic. It is singular, and is no one doing it. All that is known in the field of, he calls it intelligence, energy, or emptiness, cognizing, whatever, is what is being experienced is the seeing, the field of seeing, singular, and direct experience is always singular. Go on, Michael.
Yeah, so I think Heyman said he says the message, like it is in the moment. You can see it as, even if you said it before, and it doesn't matter how many times you said it before, there's just a sense of absolute joy in sharing it. Like the joy just comes across in all those clips. So you see that he is actually living that, and it is the moment. And I guess it's the now that got in that whole series. It was the now that got me, because when does it begin and when does it end? And it's always with you, so it doesn't have any distance, or it doesn't matter how far you go, you can't get away from the moment. That's the key point that really hit home with me, the now. And and of course there's nothing wrong with right now, unless you think about it. I mean, it's so simple, but so true, isn't it?
Beautiful. And it's now every time you look, no matter how often throughout the day, every time you look, there is an I. There is awareness of presence. There is the I. There is the now. There is awareness of presence, which minds translate as an I, but really it's just the awareness of presence. And Tanya says here that there is no past or future, only this beginningless and endless now, and that the words are not the thing, not the reality. Bob's spiel shows so clearly there is no me, and that you are that intelligence, energy expressing through this form. Yeah, that was lovely. He says you can't sit on the word chair, can you? And yet everyone is sitting. The sitting is happening, and in that sitting that is happening, there are ideas, because the sensation is of there might be a sensation, which the ideas straight away translate into, the back of the chair or the butt on the soft surface. But those are ideas. Experience is just a sensation that is inseparable from that field of sensing. So sensing is happening, and ideas straight away address it and place it, put a mental image on it or label. Wonderful capacity for that navigational instrument. It's a navigation aid. It's the navigator speaking here, but it is it's close enough, isn't it? And Bob was a sailor too. It is a function that helps navigating the complexity of the dream. But direct experience, the pure singularity, is that there is a sensing, capacity for sensing, capacity for seeing, capacity for thinking, expressing as it does, and capacity for noticing. And whatever is being expressed is noticed in that noticing. Noticing is singular, sensing is singular. Now, the navigational aid will divide it. like Bob was saying in the last beat, 108 this and 3 gunas, 3 whatever. How quickly that singular sense of being, knowing, loving to be, that basic presence is divided into all that multitude for the sake of finding further clarity, which there is the cause, the noble, beautiful motivation, which is love, sharing that which is so beautiful and indivisible, undivided. Using the division instrument because there's no other instrument to be used. But again, coming back to that now, like Michael was saying, there is always and forever only that, only the now. Anyone? Oh, cool.
Just when Bob said, it's like nothing's wrong, and then there's a pause there, and nothing's right either, but like it just is. And if you don't have a preference for one or the other, then it's just that timeless moment that unfolds. And as Michael said, that the words are timeless. There's this very strong presence of now in them. And it doesn't matter, like when we hear it, we always hear it now. And that's the beauty of the pointers. It's always relevant. It's always something that resonates, and that's all we can be grateful for that. So it's beautiful. Thank you for putting that together too. That was wonderful.
Only now and only ever just here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So clear.
Yeah. It is. It's so obvious, so simple.
Many ways. And the mind will make a commentary on it, as it always does. It's the nature of the mind.
That's its job.
Makes commentary, yeah. But only ever now, only ever here. Wherever that is.
I think Tanya has already commented on it, but I'll still highlight it, and thank you, Tanya, for the New Zealand Tanya in here. When Bob pointed out, like the whole spiritual search, everyone, whatever, anytime you ask anyone, what do you want? They want to be happy. That's just that inherent drive for fulfillment. So whatever they do, whether they meditate or they play on the lottery or they get into all sorts of addictions, they always look. Every seeker is always seeking the sense of fulfillment and happiness. And in spiritual search, it often translates to better and bigger and more blissful experience. Like that search for happiness gets into that grandiose desire to be in an endless state of ecstasy, of continuous state of like fainting in orgasm. And yes, and Bob addressed that beautifully. He says, what if you found that wonderful experience and that experience continues for a week or 10 days or 10 months or whatever? It becomes ordinary, right? It becomes the baseline. So that's really not it. For anyone who is always looking for more pleasure, yes, there is some more pleasure in the dream. You can only know that pleasure because there is also more pain in the dream. And they fluctuate, pain, pleasure, bliss, sadness, whatever it is. But that's not it. It's much, much more subtle and simple. And that's when he was talking about and Anika actually, and thank you, Anika, brought it back in the ordinary awareness, the everyday capacity for being aware, capacity for being awake, for being alive, for not being in coma, not being dead or drunk or something. That capacity for that radiance of existence, ordinary, in which pleasant and unpleasant experiences are floating through. That is it. Never not here. Always underlying everything else that happens. And overlooked or ignored in a search for more pleasure. But what is searching for pleasure is only that navigational aid. The heart, When you drop down into that nowness, and that here, now, here, or nowhere, because there is really nothing objectifiable there, there is nothing wrong. As soon as there is relaxation out of that commentary, there is nothing wrong, because it's only the commentary that tells you, look, we can find something better than that. And it's love behind it. Make no mistake. It's just a program which is having your best interest at, the survival and the thriving of this. And yet, the truth, the awareness of presence, the nothing wrong, the blissful love of being is present already in the heart as soon as the relaxation of that program occurs, and that comes in the foreground. And who's got a mic? Oh, wonderful.
No, I just I love that the bit in his talks today we saw where Bob was just laughing to himself about the how preposterous it was that we should believe in a separate me, and he just went on and on and on, just laughing about that, just to himself. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. It was Bob was inspiring. I said to myself, "That's the kind of guy that I want to become." It was not properly in the level of sensory perception yet.
Yes, Bob can't see right now.
I couldn't figure out what does it mean.
Yeah, his ashes are behind that picture. They can't see. There's no eyes there, no ears, no voice box. So whatever is left of Bob's body is dust. So sensory perception at this point is out of the question. But sensory perception, this is also what Bob was often hammering down. Sensory perception is not going to change, because the construct, the way the mechanism here, the little camera there in this biocomputer, the little the hearing devices and the microphone here, the mouthpiece, he would often call the body a mouthpiece. That device is not going to change when you realize the subtlety of the obvious fact of existence, which has been with it right even before the sperm met the ovum. So the way that there is a design for this smelling, sensing, tasting, touching, those things are already manufactured as they are. There is no change in the sensory perception, like, before enlightenment, Job would carry the water using the same arms, the same strength, the same wood. There is no change in sensory perception to be expected. The interpretation of sensory perception may shift slightly, because the relating it to imagined entity that has never been found and could never be found is irrelevant. So that line of relating drops away. But seeing the same, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and even the object, the colors, they look the same. The taste, Bob loved lamb shanks before he met Nisargadatta, and he loved lamb shanks after he met Nisargadatta. There was no difference. And Vegemite. Oh, yeah, he loved Vegemite. Yes. So to expect that the sensory perceptions will somehow be different. And yes, look, everything is changing all the time. I mean, Bob's hearing was getting weaker. He was having stronger and stronger hearing aid. He was having stronger and stronger eyeglasses. So yes, the devices will wear off, because just like in your car. But the capacity for seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, that is irrelevant. Realizing that you are alive. He would ask, are you unaware? And you realize that you're not unaware. Are you less aware than he was when he was asking the question? No, you're equally aware. You're equally not unconscious. You're equally not in coma as he is. That means the aliveness that animates this body and speaks with his tone of the voice is the same aliveness that animates your body and speaks through your tone of the voice. Of course, your unique personality, your music preferences will be unique, like two blades of grass are unique, but the animating life is the same, just like the same power through the battery animates this phone and the phone that is doing the streaming and the TV and the light globe, the same power. So you are that power. You're not the voice box. You're not the corpse, and you're not the ashes. And you're not the capacity for seeing. The capacities are the way the power is translated through that whatever you call it, transformer. This is like a transformer. It transforms, like the globe transforms the raw power into a light. This one transforms raw power into the sound and picture and anything. The computer has even more capacities, and this one has even more capacities because it can also think of itself, it can narrate. But again, just like the television doesn't do it, the globe doesn't do it, all is that power. The power does it. So am I that biocomputer or am I that power? And so are you. Everyone is already that power. Though expressing through this particular vehicle, it expresses in unique and different ways. And part of this expression is adopting that sense of identity of it because it is programmed in the machine. But realizing that this is just a software, that this is just a program, that one doesn't stop it. It will still do whatever it does. It will still have the same accent. It will still have the same preferences for food. Well, they may update over time. But it doesn't change the principle of life that is doing it. It doesn't touch it. It isn't affected by it, by its expression. The expression is affected by life, but life isn't affected by expression. Just like the objects may be affected or may be dependent on the space or the screen they appear on. But the screen is not dependent on the objects. It is prior to them. So nothing that ever happens to the vehicle happens to life. And that's where he says nothing ever happened. On that, outside of the context of the story, of the dream character moving through the dream, nothing ever happens. And even the dream, did it really happen? Is there a past? Anything that happened in the past, where is it? Where are yesterday thoughts? And we have Bradley. Oh, I like listening and reading to Bradley. When you wear the cloak of life loosely, then the jewelry of language is an ornament with a faulty clasp. Publish it, Brad. I always motivate him to just put those pearls, string them nicely in a beautiful little book, and just bring it to the world. It's so yummy. And thank you.
The thing that that struck me about Bob's compilation of the younger Bob was just the force of nature. What a strong concentration of that intelligence energy. And the remarkable thing is most people, when they speak, they hesitate, they and ah. He speaks so directly that it just comes straight out, and there's no hesitation in what he's saying. It's very, very clear. So it's that clarity and lucidity that he expresses. It's very powerful.
I say, at one point, still gets me is this: how can something come from nothing? And he talks about it all being nothing ultimately, and the mirror is a perfect analogy, and it's very clear logically, but I think experientially it's tough to kind of get that this is nothing. And to Heyman's point on, do I get it? It's also tough to get that there's nothing to get, that it's just what it is, like whatever it is right now. And so that means feeling like I'm not getting it, or feeling upset or angry, or, nothing's different. It just is what it is right now. And that's an incredible disappointment, isn't it? It's just this. So
garden variety, ordinary awareness.
But what doesn't change is the appearance. It's the interpretation of the appearance that makes a big difference. In fact, there isn't even a story. It's just this, and the mind adds a story to it, and it's all about the appearance. So because we're talking about the mind and the appearance, nothing changes. It just goes on and on and on until it stops. But what we're talking about in this room is what we really are, and that you can't talk about, really.
it doesn't matter what story you tell it, does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't matter what story you tell.
It doesn't change what is.
No, exactly.
The other thing is, I think it's most important to not negate the act of life living, or of the person, or of the community, or of the environment. There's no rejection of any of that.
Yes.
It's all within that, and so the meaning that it carries, all of that, is based in our own mind and our own thing, right? But there is undoubtedly a livingness occurring, and there's no rejection of any of that. Can't be.
It's the acceptance of whatever happens in the river that you're rolling down like a cork. It's the acceptance of that. This is what happens. This is what is.
Also, there's no no non-acceptance of mind. Mind is part of that picture. There's no rejection of mind. How can it be? Rejection and there's no acceptance.
No one can reject it.
Exactly.
I should say the only disappointment is to the mind too. It's only the mind that can be disappointed, but very disappointed.
I just guess a distinction, I guess if you're the type that craves a good sensation, then you'll be disappointed that there's not a good sensation replacing now. But here it's more like a fear of a bad future. So I guess then that'll be just a different dynamic. So the brain hasn't broken down. I mean, there hasn't been popping up what the breakdown of that is yet. But I suppose it's discomfort, I guess, in what's now. Yeah, discomfort that the discomfort hasn't gone. Yeah, yes, the breakdown's not popping up.
Because the now is not. It is the place of change and variation. So there will always be that. This is the container of the nowness. Contains both the opposites, but also the awareness that there's only this. So pain, sadness, discomfort, everything is still only within the now. There's no, and it will always change. It will keep changing.
Yeah, I guess when nothing's popping up, then it's a pure now experience. When something's popping up, it's got loaded with it, also pops up the discomfort. If it's the fear type triggers going on, or disappointment if it's the craving type triggers that are going on, and I'm sure there's a couple for the past as well, but I'm not really a past creature, so like don't feel guilt and stuff like that. That was very easy to drop.
Dino, you say something.
Hi. Well, everyone's covered things pretty well, and there's nothing to actually cover as such. And one of the things in the video that stood out was the reference point, that was mentioned many times. There isn't one, so there's no central point. So, and he talked about relationship. So this in relation to that, and everything is in relation to me. So if it's seen really clearly that there is no actual me, then how can a thing? This is the one essence, the oneness, appearing as everything, and so how it's not appearing as you and me. It's appearing as everything, inclusive of this body and that body, and these feelings and these emotions and everything in the whole caboodle of the humanness of it all, and beyond. So in relation to was really just jumped out at me when it was being played. But I mean, everything jumped out and nothing jumped out, and at the same time, because it is that one essence, and even like listening to everyone express it today, it's different expressions of the one essence, and Bob had a way of a very, very compelling and articulate and sort of powerful sort of way of expressing that and bringing that to people's attention, but yet everyone else, even here today, has their own way of expressing the snippet of how they see things or experience things or whatever. But the reference point is a really, one of the most fundamental things that look. There's, you come here as a seeker. There's a seeking energy. The seeker is only in relation to the seeker, which is a reference point. Where can you find the seeker as such? There can be a seeking energy, but there actually isn't a seeker. There never has been, never will be. But you can't just say that. You need to see it and have the experiential knowledge of that, and then all the energy that goes into looking, searching for something just fades away. And even what's really fascinating, that sense of a self, because there is a sense of a body at times. There has to be for like you said, navigation purposes. And yet it's not there as well. At the same time, it's actually non-existent. Like, are you aware of your, left toe at the moment? Not until I mention it, and then there's an awareness of a left toe. But really, like, this is one appearance again, and with inclusive of a sensation of a left toe or not. So it's like saying, it's like, as you said, like, is everything's already. How do you say it? Everything was not there's nothing good or there's nothing bad, like it is as it is. And so the appearance of that toe appears. It's not right or wrong. It's sometimes there's an appearance of a leg, sometimes there's an appearance of a sensation. This is just all the faculties, just all the machinery interpreting the aliveness into these little fragments that all appear in the aliveness itself. And it's an amazing thing, really. Like, there's a sense of knowing that this is, and this is the aliveness, this is the nowness, this is the livingness, this is that, appearing as nothing in particular, but just the sense of presence, And then there's Nisargadatta and Bob, refer to like the closest thing a thought relates that experience and says, I am. But the thought I am is not the sense of presence. It's the thought I am. And that's just the machinery, like projecting like the thought, interpreting what is, as the thought I am, but the thought I am is not I am. I amness is that presence itself, and isn't it just amazing that like everything is resolved in the immediacy of that presence? That is everyone's experience constantly. There's no way out of it. There's no way in it. There's no escaping it. There's no beyond it and above it and below it and within it all universes and are born and collapse and it doesn't matter because it's a phenomenal manifestation. It's that which appears. And I don't know. I think just the way Bob delivers that message or pointers in a way that you have to look and see it like in an obviousness is really remarkable and beautiful. And I guess it's really also quite, we can talk about stuff forever and ever, but like it's what's actually the actuality of now is it's self-evident. So it's so easy to ramble like this, not knowing the next word or the next, or not knowing anything in particular, knowing clearly that there is no knower as such, and yet the words and the experiencing is still occurring, and the faculties are still working, and the senses are interpreting, and everything is on top or within that sense of presence. And everything is appearing within exactly that sense of presence. Within doesn't even cut it. It's not really within. It's not even without. It's not as you could say part of. You could say it's awareness. Or it gets complicated. Consciousness and movement appearing in awareness, but they're not two separate things at all. It's just the one essence. You could say it's the unmanifest, and the stillness and the movement becomes a manifest. You could call it Shiva Shakti. You could go on describing it in all these different ways, but if you really just honestly can't be missed in the immediacy, no one is exempt. No one can be in any way apart from that. And yeah. I am that, and everyone is that, and everything is that, and yeah, Bob had a great way of bringing that, or helping you to remember the obviousness of that which can't be forgotten. And yeah, so that's a little take on it for the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's it. Yeah, always bring it back to direct knowing. That Bob would say, are you not knowing that you are? Can you stop knowing that you are for a moment? Can you forget about your own existence for a moment? And even trying to forget will prove that you prove your existence. So it is, yeah, how could that ever be missed? And yet that incredible device, which also Anita was saying, is not excluded. Not only is not excluded, mind is not excluded. Mind is a fantastic smoke and mirror device which clouds that space so beautifully that you can't even see it. It's like a good movie that is so good. Who would remember there is a screen underneath? Who would give a shit? It's so attractive, it's so entertaining, it's so juicy. It shows so many incredible aspects of that fascinating dream that it covers it up completely. And we forget to give credit where credit is due. If not for the aliveness in the body, that mind couldn't function. If not for the aliveness of the body, the seeing couldn't function, the hearing couldn't function. So in a way, and I like the way Dean was expressing that, the whole design is such that it brings into the attention whatever requires attention. If there is a requirement for attending to your left toe or the leg or the head, it will automatically show up. It really works on autopilot. There really is no doer there. There's no one who needs to do anything. There's no one who needs to, it's a relaxed emptiness that has the capacity of cognizing. That is your essential nature. If there is a requirement to the attending to your whatever tax return, it will appear in the field. If there is a requirement to, or even incentive, or even an urge to go to a hairdresser and shave your head or color your hair.
Wax your eyebrows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh no. Sorry, that was a reference to a Zoom meeting we had the other night. It was really great fun. But, thoughts. And, Bob said, there's no mind, you idiots. But thoughts are as real as the imaginary self-center. They don't exist. They have no they have no internal validity, external validity. Can't grasp them. They're transitory. Flash, gone. And they're always in the past. The event, or whatever it is that the seeming thoughts are referring to, is already past. It's already gone in a flash. It's just a suggestion of a narrative arising. It's mind, and the brain or whatever is responsible in one concept is not separate from the body. The body isn't separate from the external or the seeming internal. It's all one. But there's can you see that thoughts, it's just a word. The word thought, the word thinking, they're just words which are part of the symbolic language that we get caught up in. But my thoughts tell me this, but I'm miserable because of my thoughts. Oh my God, Bob just told you there's no mind. there's no, so what are thoughts? They're nothing. They're nothing. There's absolutely no requirement at all, ever, to put any focused energy or attention on this puff of smoke. This skywriting that just dissolves of its own accord without focused energy of belief or attention. Bob used to say it's like, the sun's rays, when focused through a magnifying glass, burns that spot. But when the magnifying glass is removed, just a natural dissipating of that heat energy just naturally goes. Thoughts are as real as the concept of time, which is the same as the concept of mind, which is the same as the concept of ego and me and mine. It's all the same thing. There's nothing else in it. It's just what's happening. In the lady bin now.
Nope. I just wanted to pick up on Dean's last word, which was forgotten. It just hit me that forgotten. It's just such a powerful thing that it's an immediate recognition of. You don't get a second chance. It's immediate. It's either now or it's forgotten. So we've got the appearance of everything, or you can, if that's taking center stage, the real actuality is forgotten. So then there's the dominance of duality. So it's just a simple forgetting. Something's lost and you get something else instead. Instead of what? Well, you get the obscuration of the mind and thoughts, or you can rest in the unborn Buddha mind and watch it all taking place.
Exactly. That's why there's no duality in non-duality. Exactly what you said, and what you're also describing is the absolute immediacy and the spontaneity of this appearance, and the recognition of that immediacy and spontaneity, which is this, which is that, which is now, which is always has been, and it always is, and the getting lost in some story is the dualistic, is the forgetting, like you said. Yeah. Like you said.
But that spontaneity is an interesting word, because it comes from the seed form of a Sanskrit word, svalta. From that svalta you get spontaneity in English. And the explanation of that dhatu is an explosion in consciousness.
Really?
Spontaneity.
Wow. The Big Bang.
The Big Bang.
The Big Bang.
Yeah, the Big Bang.
Every singularity.
That's the Big Bang.
You're full of some good big pearls there, mate. That's pretty good. Sorry. Finish. Continue. No more? No?
Yes.
Oh, lucky.
What you were saying before, Kat, about like the screen, like, everything appearing on the screen, reminded me. I had like some weird dreams last night. I can't even remember what they were, but I woke up at sometime in the middle of the morning, and the dream was kind of seamlessly replaced with then thoughts about, I'm awake and I need to go to sleep, back to sleep. But what was so obvious was that the screen of awareness was completely unchanged between the transition from dream to awake. It was just like, it was though a projector had just flicked to the next slide on a projection, and now dreaming experience and dream character was replaced by thoughts and this other thing just floating there, and just the basic screen of awareness was entirely unchanged, and it just became, I think, the contrast from seamlessly moving between sleep or dreaming and awake was just made it all the more obvious that this unchanging, I don't know what word to use, foundation source, like screen, is just there and always there, and it's the actual basis, foundation of reality, that unchanged awareness. And even when you're not aware of this awareness, it's so obviously still there and has always been there. And it was just an interesting experience in shining the light on that light. I don't know how to talk about it. But yeah, when you're using the word, the screen, it's that unchanged screen on which everything is projected or experienced. And it was also obvious that it is obvious that even the thoughts aren't, it's not like there's the thoughts and there's the screen. It's the thoughts are almost, are it. I don't know. I'm yeah, I struggle to put words to it. But yeah, that just kind of highlighted that truth when you were just talking about the screen before. So thank you.
It's fantastic. Yeah, and like every experience that can ever be perceived or conceived or has ever happened or ever will happen is, where is it appearing on exactly the same screen? Like the screen is just, I'm calling it a screen, but the eternal nowness of the aliveness, or and everything can't appear outside of that. It appears within it.
Yes.
Or
it's just so foundational and
Yeah.
prior to
Yeah.
that it's so easy to miss.
Yeah.
But
it's so obvious though.
It's
Like
just
you
constant.
go back to your first memory as a tiny child or whatever, it's same.
that's exactly what the thoughts I had shortly after. I was like, oh, this is identical to when I was 4. Nothing has changed. It's entirely unchanged. And, you know, often I have thoughts, I think last week whenever I was talking about like progress and I haven't had thoughts like, oh no, I've been like lost in thought for the last week or something like that. But in the noticing, you realize that obviously that in itself is just a thought, and that unchanged, timeless awareness it's completely irrelevant, this thought. It's just like in that moment of seeing, you're like, oh, this is all that is and ever is and ever can be. And the thought about the past or the future is laughable, as if that means anything. It's just, it's all there is.
That's why we can say that nothing ever happened.
I know, and it's so annoying that nothing ever happened and nothing ever will happen. So mine is like, that's pointless and stupid. And then you see the truth.
The livingness is not denied either.
No.
Of course not. Yeah. And at the same time, you can see, and this was absolutely gorgeous expression, because it really highlights how absolutely ridiculously futile it is for that thought to try and grasp that what's prior to it. It's like you can't, once this is recognized and seen, using mind and thoughts to try and grasp it, it just can't. You can't even attempt it anymore. You can't wait for it anymore. You can't subtly look for it. It's just too ridiculous. It's so absolutely impossible. And when Bob says, and it was, I think, one of the last words, the answer cannot be found in the mind, it means the answer cannot be found in the thoughts. It means the thoughts can never come near. They are already appearing fully and disappearing fully from it. They can't get closer to it ever as they are. Wherever the attention is focused, wherever the laser that Tanya was saying is focused, it absolutely makes no difference. It's totally impossible. Like it's impossible for the fish to find the water. It doesn't have to find it. It's not necessary for the fish to find it. Go on.
Oh. So in fact, there's nothing to do.
Yes. Yes. And there's no one to do anything.
Just Lockie's sharing reminded me of a story a friend told me about a dream they had very recently. They had a problem to solve in the dream. It was a very difficult problem. It was complex, and they woke up, and then when they woke up, they still felt they had to solve. They were in a bad mood because they still had to feel like they had to solve this dream. I spent 2 or 3 hours thinking about this dream, how I'm going to solve it. Thinking, how ridiculous is it? I'm still trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist.
That's it.
And also added to what there's nothing to do. Do will still do. Do will do.
Yeah.
So that can't be negated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do will
There's
happen.
no,
Will happen.
There's no one doing
activity.
Anything. Yeah.
Stop.
It's no one doing anything. There has never been anyone doing anything. So if you did brush your teeth last night, it means you didn't. That was the happening. So likely the happening continues because there never was a doer thereof. So there is no one to stop doing either. It's a good point. Of course, doing happens.
Doing happens as it always did. The same way as, there is no one blowing the wind, and yet the wind is blowing. There is no one moving the planet around the sun, and yet the planet is moving. There is no one digesting the food, and yet the food is being digested. There is no one manufacturing the thought, and yet thought appears, and if the thought is charged, it causes action. No doer thereof. And doing, yes, absolutely. It happens, and it continues to happen as long as the machine is fueled by whatever, as long as the life essence perpetuates. And this is the time. This is the time to celebrate with a little bit of a cake. Tibor and Bob, like always, Tibor and Bob, they had the birthday together, too close enough to separate them. Yeah, so we have.
Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone.